nowadays you got to have that county because people nowadays.
Before we get straight into the podcast, I just want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Kirby GAA Star. Declan Kirby GAA Star Championship Journey. It's a series of GAA team children's books written by primary school teacher and GAA coach Michael Egan. You can check it out in the link in the description down below, of course, as well. Follow the trials and tribulations of Declan Kirby and his team at Smithgreen Gaelic Football Club, recently formed but promising GAA team. The book is now available in Easons and all good bookshops, so check it out in the description down below, and let's get straight into it. Yes, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I hope you're all keeping wonderfully well. It's that time of the year again where we preview and predict the National Football League. The National Football League is just a couple of weeks away now. Well, I suppose, just over a week. So, yeah, kind of mad. It's come around very, very fast. It's been brilliant following the club action. You obviously have some Sigerson football going on at the moment as well. And, of course, a lot of pre-season games, which undoubtedly we will touch on throughout this preview. So yeah, look, I tend to make one of these videos every year for both the National Football League and the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship. We do ones in hurling, of course, as well, in the Hurling National League and the Hurling All-Ireland Championship. So stay tuned for the Hurling National League preview, which will be out in a couple of days' time. But yeah, we're going to be predicting the entirety of the National Football League, where every team is going to place, who is going to get promoted, who is going to get relegated. And look, these are my predictions. I'm certainly no Nostradamus or anything like that when it comes to GAA and predicting things. And so yeah, let me know your predictions in the comments down below as well. It's always good to see your insight into who you feel will be promoted, relegated, and obviously whatever county you support. How do you feel going into the National Football League, and how do you think your county will get on this year? We then have Division 2, and we'll start off with the 8th position, and I've gone for Down. Look, I think Down have plenty of good players and plenty of good talent in there. I just think the nature of Division 2 this year is extremely tough in terms of the teams that are coming up from Division 3 are very good, and some of the teams coming down from Division 1 are very good, so it's going to be very tough for Down. The worry would be with Down is, it took them a long time to get a manager there. They were being linked with Jim McGuinness, Pete McGrath, Conor Laverty, and eventually they went with James McCartan, which brought a mixed reaction from Down supporters from what I've seen. Like, yes, he was the man in charge when they last got to an All-Ireland final, but a lot of time has passed since then, and from what I hear, he didn't do too well with the Down Miners there for a couple of years. So I'm not too sure whether this is a good appointment or bad appointment. Maybe some Down supporters can let me know down in the comments below. Barry O'Hagan and Kayla Mooney will probably be two of their most important players. I think Barry O'Hagan was brilliant against Donegal last year, even though they were trashed that day, but I thought he was one of the shining lights that day for Down. They will have a lot of the Kilcoo lads away, and whether some of those lads even commit to the county team, I don't know. So it's a tough one to know what's going to happen there. Fixture list is tough to begin with as well. Derry away, Galway at home, Meath away. You're talking about three teams that are going to be up there battling for promotion. So it's a tough fixture list to begin with. The good news for them is they play Offaly and Clare at home in their final 3 games, and you could probably see Down winning one of those games. So I don't think they'll be cut adrift and they'll finish bottom with 0 points or anything like that. Could go down to score difference between them and the next 2 counties above them. So yeah, Down in 8th. And in 7th, I've gone for Offaly. Look, in terms of the relegation battle in Division 2, I think it will be between Offaly, Clare, maybe Cork might get dragged in there as well, but I think Cork should have enough to comfortably steer clear of relegation. I do think it will be between Offaly and Clare, and I think they're 2 teams that are kind of on opposite dimensions in terms of Clare are a very experienced team and have so much experience in this division of coming through. And I don't want to sound like Desi Dolan and go on and on about experience, but, they have the knack of winning big games in this division, and they have players there that know how to win games in here. And they were nearly promoted last year, and they're a side that always continues to surprise you in this division. Even when they lose players or players opt out, they're one of them teams that just continue to surprise you with Owen Cleary and David Tuberty and all the rest. So very good team, but I think Offaly will be the ones to get relegated in 7th. And Offaly, as I said, probably on the opposite side of that in terms of very young team, not much experience in this division at all. Maybe we'll see some of the under-20 players who won the All-Ireland last year. And look, maybe it might help them because they'll come in to this division as an unknown team, and maybe there'll be some teams that will play Offaly and think, you know what, we might beat these, this should be a game we'll win, and maybe Offaly might surprise them. So look, certainly wouldn't be discounting Offaly by any stretch of the imagination. I think there are some factors though that also lead me to them being relegated, and Keane Farrell's injury is for me that's a huge injury. Like, he was one of their top players last year, and he's going to be out for the entirety of the inter-county season. They still have Noel McNamee ticking away, and fair play to him. Jordan Hayes in there as well, very good footballer. And could we see the likes of Jordan Bryant or Cormac Egan maybe come in there? I'm not sure. Maybe it might be a bit too early for them. But look, I think Offaly are very well placed to bounce back next year in Division 3. As those players get older and come into their prime, I do think we'll see Offaly eventually stabilise as a mid kind of Division 2 team and potentially kick on into Division 1 at some stage. But yeah, I just think it's a little bit too early for them just yet. And looking at their fixtures as well, like Clare away first up, tough game going away to Clare, and that could be the game right there that could decide who gets promoted, relegated. They've Galway away as well, Down away, Roscommon away. They've Cork, Meath and Derry at home. So tough fixtures there for Offaly, but I've got them in 7th. And as I said, we've got Clare in 6th, and I was kind of speaking about them already there, so we won't speak too much about them. But yeah, Offaly at home, first time out, was a huge game, and Cork away, second time out. Like, they've a good record against Cork down the years. I know they lost them last year, but they could win that game. They really could. So, you can write Clare off all you want, and I've certainly done it in the past. They seem to find a way to win games when they need to, and they treat the National League probably as serious as any team in all 4 divisions. So yeah, I think Clare will have enough, and I've got them in 6th. And then Cork in 5th, and look, as I said before, I've got Cork in the middle of the pack there, and they brought Keith Ricken in as manager, and certainly a very well-known man for that interview he done last year after one of the under-20 games. And look, I think for Cork, there probably is going to be a bit of transition in their team. I think, a lot of Cork fans have been crying out for maybe some youth to come into the team. They did an under-20 All-Ireland team there. Plenty of very good players coming through. They won a minor All-Ireland there a few years ago as well. So, they do have a lot of talent coming through. It's just, why weren't those lads in the team last year? I don't really know. You're looking at Mark Cronin, maybe Blake Murphy. If Cathal O'Mahony is fit, maybe he'll play as well. Brian Hurley in extraordinary form last year, in extraordinary form in pre-season as well. And, he's one of their top players. Maybe Stephen Sherlock will come in, who done great work with St Finbarrs this year. So, look, I think Cork have the quality, definitely, even with Luke Connolly as well, who's a top-class forward on his day. They have a lot of options, and they have a lot of depth in their panel as well. I think they'll get away with maybe rotating the squad and changing things, compared maybe with the likes of a Clare, who will probably need to have their best starting 15 week in, week out. So yeah, I think Cork will have enough, as I said, because they're probably going to change a couple of things, and because Keith Ricken's going to try a couple of different things out with Cork. I think we will see them slip up from time to time, but I still think they'll have enough, in my opinion, to comfortably stave off any relegation worries. It probably is worth mentioning as well that you have the Tier 2 coming in this year as well, so the teams relegated from Division 2 could potentially find themselves in a Tailteann Cup if they don't make a provincial final. So I think that's a big thing really for a lot of these counties, really, is to start the league fast, because you don't want to find yourself in a potential relegation battle. And one team that could potentially find themselves in a relegation battle, but I think they'll be okay, is Meath. I think their fixture list starting off is a bit difficult. Galway away, Roscommon at home, 2 tough games early on right there. But yeah, it's an interesting one with Meath, because they're definitely a lot more settled now under Andy McEntee. He's had to bring through a lot of new players into the team in the past couple of seasons, and they're probably just a few years away really from their prime. And it's hard to really know if, I could see a situation where in a few years' time Meath kick on and do something special, and Andy McEntee probably won't get the credit for it, because there'll probably be another manager then. But I think a lot of Meath fans will look back at this period under Andy McEntee and think that was kind of like when the foundations were built. So like, they have a lot of good players in terms of Jordan Morris and Cathal Hickey, Matthew Costello, like, got a lot of good young players coming through. Just think there's a lot of quality from the other teams ahead of them, and probably more physicality in them teams as well. And probably is Meath, maybe their only big problem is, I can see Meath being bullied from time to time in certain games, and we see this happen, and they do have inconsistent performances from time to time, which I think will probably cost them a little bit in this division. But I think ultimately they are moving in the right direction, and look, they certainly are closing the gap on the Dubs, there's no doubt about that. And I think, we might see some surprises from Meath maybe in the All-Ireland, but I think it's a tough division for them, and I just don't see them being promoted this year, so I've got them in 4th. We then move into the promotion battle, and I suppose Meath are going to be in the promotion battle as well. But in terms of the first two positions, like the other in Division 3 and Division 4, I thought it was fairly unanimous enough in my opinion that Cavan will finish first and Westmeath will finish first in Division 3. But in this division, I don't think it's as easy as that. I really don't. I think it's wide open actually, as a matter of fact, and I think. I think it's gonna be very close between Roscommon, Galway, and Derry. Talking about Roscommon first of all, because I've got them in third. Consistently switching around their backroom team, I don't think really helps. In all honesty, they brought Stephen Poacher in last year, and the emphasis was going to be a bit more defensive and try and grind their way through games. Didn't work at all, and he's now gone, and they've changed their backroom team again. Looks like they're going to be more attacking again this year. Look, and I think they should be attacking because with players like Emma Smith, Connor Cox, potentially Adam McDermott coming in there, Colin Walsh in defence, like they have the players there to play on the front foot, be attacking and cause problems. And looking at their fixture list, like Cork at home, Clare at home, Derry at home, and Galway at home, like they're the home games that you want. So I think Roscommon could very well be in the top two and be promoted, and I could be wrong. The only kind of reason why I think Galway and Derry will have a little bit more is I think Galway have that experience of playing the top teams in Division 1, being in big games and Connacht finals, and I think have a very good team and have probably just struggled quite a bit with injuries in the past couple of seasons in terms of Shane Walsh, Damien Comer. The pandemic definitely disrupted them quite a bit, and I also think with Galway, they were in a tough group last year in the National Football League. When you're paired up with Kerry and Dublin, two of the best teams in the country, it's always going to be tough for you in that division. And they're very close to seeing off Monaghan. Yes, they let it slip, and they do seem to have a problem in terms of game management and closing out games. And it seems to be in the final sort of 10 to 15 minutes where they struggle. But look, I think they will rotate quite a bit, which is why I've got them in second as opposed to first. I think we'll see some of those under-20 footballers come in, like Matthew Tierney, Tom O'Culhan, more game time for Jack Lynn, and some of the other lads in there as well. Maybe Peter Cook, we'll get more game time as well. So Desi Keneally as well looks like a top player. And look, I think the main thing is keeping Shane Walsh and Damien Comer fit for when the All-Ireland Championship comes around, because I don't think they're a million miles away from Mayo and beating a team like Mayo and playing them first out in that Connacht Championship game. I think they'll be targeting that game, I really do, in terms of maybe hitting their prime. So look, I think Galway are going to have some good results. Like their fixture list is kind to them quite early on. Meath at home, Down away, Offaly at home, and then Cork away. Meath obviously will be a tough game to start out with, but Derry and Roscommon, they both play them away in their final two games. So those two games will be tough. But look, maybe Galway can finish first. As I said, I think I don't think there'll be much between a lot of these teams. First, second, third, fourth, maybe 2 or 3 points. But Galway in second. And then we've got Derry in first. And this certainly might surprise a lot of people because, Derry obviously promoted from Division 3 last year. And, look, there is a lot of hype around Derry at the minute. And, I can understand maybe why some people want to shut down the hype because they haven't won anything yet. And look, they haven't played too many top quality teams in the past couple of years, mainly because of the way the championship has been structured and no qualifiers and all the rest. But you're looking at Derry and I think, they have the talent there, and look, yes, Glenn beaten by Kilcoo, and I think we'll see Conor Glass and Kieran McFell come back into the team. Maybe players like Ethan Doherty might come into the team as well. Be interesting to see what happens with the Slothill Hurlers, because I'm sure Rory Gallagher will want the likes of Shane McGuigan and Chrissy McCaig to come back into the team there. Their fixture list is very favourable quite early on, so their first 4 games are Down at home, Offaly away, Cork at home and Clare away. I think Derry will win those games, and then you've got Roscommon away, Galway at home, Meath away. I think the fixture list is very favourable, and I could just see them being a lot more consistent in the league as opposed to Galway and Roscommon. And I think Rory Gallagher's record in the league speaks for itself. He nearly got Fermanagh promoted to Division 1, a couple of years ago, and look at Fermanagh now, they're probably looking at staving off relegation from Division 3. So, I think he's a top-class manager, Rory Gallagher, and especially in the National League, he's a great record, he really does. So, yeah, I think Derry will be promoted, and in terms of the final, I think Galway will win that one. I think Galway will beat Derry in Croke Park. I think we'll see Galway, the more the league goes on, we'll see them get better, and we'll see them improve, and I think I'm expecting a big year from Galway because the talent is there, the players is there. We've seen how well they played before that pandemic. It's just about getting new players in there, finding the balance in their team, and making sure too many other players don't get injured. I think that's the main thing. So yeah, I think Galway will beat Derry in Croke Park. Maybe a bit of a reality check for Derry in that game. But yeah, I'm going to go with Galway to get that one, but I do think Derry will finish first and Galway second. We then move into Division 1, and yeah, I mean, here we go. Division 1 always probably one of the most hardest divisions to call, in all honesty, a lot like previous divisions. But yeah, in 8th we've gone for Kildare. Look, they have a new manager in Glenn Ryan, a bit of a dream team with Anthony Rainbow, Johnny Doyle and Dermot Earley. It kind of reminds me in Football Manager, if you go in owner mode and you just create your sort of dream team management for your side, for the team you support or whatever. But yeah, look, it's exciting times in terms of that management, in terms of Glenn Ryan and Anthony Rainbow, Johnny Doyle, like a lot of experience in there in terms of, Anthony Rainbow's done a lot of work in club management, and I know Johnny Doyle, Dermot Earley, Glenn Ryan have all been involved in management as well. So, a big appointment. It's just so tough for Kildare. Like, you look at this division, I actually don't see where they're going to win any games. I really don't. I think this would be a bit like when Meath came up there a few years ago. I think they'll give good performances, and I think they'll play well, and I think they'll be competitive, but I just struggle to see where they're going to win any games. Like Kerry at home first of all, then Donegal and Tyrone away, Dublin home, Armagh away, Monaghan home, Mayo away. Very tough to see. Maybe Monaghan at home, they might win that one. Maybe they might turn Armagh over. I'm sure they'll be fired up for the Kerry game at home with the fact that Jack O'Connor is coming back. I do think Kildare are moving in the right direction, and look, I think them and Meath are on a kind of the same trajectory towards maybe closing the gap a little bit more on Dublin, but it's just so tough for them in this division. You'd be looking at Daniel Flynn, Jimmy Hyland, Dara Kirwan really as players maybe to drag Kildare over the line if they are to avoid relegation, but I've got them in 8th. I just don't see them doing anything in this division, and it's just the nature of the quality really in this division, to be perfectly honest. In terms of the relegation battle, I think it will be between Monaghan and Armagh. There are a few teams maybe who could get dragged in here as well, but I suppose looking at Monaghan first of all, they've been on the slide for a while, in the National Football League. They've seemingly seemed to keep finding a way to avoid relegation. They're probably the masters of the great escape, but I think we see this with a lot of teams down the years where there's only so long you can do that. There's only so long you can get away with avoiding relegation and scrapping wins in the final day and all the rest. And I think relegation has been coming for Monaghan, to be perfectly honest. I really do. It is their 7th consecutive year playing Division 1 football, which is extremely impressive for a team like Monaghan, which really doesn't have, that much of a big population, and maybe like the achievements or the fact that Monaghan are playing 7 consecutive years in Division 1 probably goes under the radar. But look, Aaron Mulligan was a great addition to their team last year, coming in from the under-20s, and we know the talent of Conor McManus, Conor McCarthy, the Hughes brothers and all the rest, but I just think Armagh are a little bit fresher, and maybe I think Armagh are kind of on the upward trajectory, whereas Monaghan are kind of, they've been one of them teams that can pull off a big result and a big shock here and there and can certainly produce. But I just have a sneaky feeling Armagh are going to avoid relegation and pip them to relegation. Armagh play Monaghan at home on the 3rd game, which could be the deciding factor. And like for Monaghan, Tyrone away, Kildare away, Donegal away. Some tough games in there. Like their home games are Dublin, Kerry and Mayo, which will be tough to get results in as well, I feel. Normally they rely on their home form quite a bit. So yeah, them in 7th, Armagh in 6th, as I said, exciting young talent coming into the team. Tough fixture list to begin with Dublin away and Tyrone at home, but like a lot of the the teams in this division, it's very hard to see where you're going to win games. But yeah, I think they have enough there, I really do, and I think they've been building towards stability in Division 1. I think we've seen how well they performed last year when they beat Monaghan in Division 1 and beat Roscommon. So they have a couple of Division 1 wins to their name, and potentially nearly could have found themselves in a league semi-final with how impressive they were actually in the league last year. We know Rian O'Neill and what he offers, and Oisin O'Neill stepped it up big time last year. Ross McQuillan coming back in from the AFL. Conor Turbot, Tiernan Kelly, like a lot of very good players in there, and they had a lot of injuries last year as well. Let's not forget that. So yeah, I think Armagh are in a good position this year. I think they could be a team that could cause a shock or two, potentially a surprise. I don't see them up there like fighting for the top 2 in the league around like that, but yeah, Armagh in 6th. We've got Donegal in 5th, and a bit of pressure on Colin Bonner here really to produce for Donegal this year. I'd imagine you'll see the likes of Connor and Shane O'Donnell come in, who done a good job with St. Eunan's this year in that forward line. And, Donegal are, they have the physicality for this division. They're a physically strong team and good record in Ballybuffet, very hard team to beat there. So I could see them, you're looking at their home fixtures, for example, Kildare, Tyrone and Monaghan. I actually think they'll win those 3 games. I think they owe Tyrone one after what happened last year, and I think they'll be fired up for that one. I think they'll have enough for Kildare and Monaghan as well. So, I think with Donegal, I think they might lose all their away games but win all their home games, and I think that'll be enough for them to finish in 5th. And then we move into, the final 4, and I think there's no arguments that Mayo, Dublin, Tyrone and Kerry, in no particular order that is, are the best 4 teams in the country in Gaelic football at the minute. But look, as we've seen in the National Football League down the years, the teams that finish in the top 2 places in the National Football League are not always the teams who go on to win the All-Ireland. Actually, as a matter of fact, last year Dublin and Kerry would have been in the league final. Both were beaten in the All-Ireland semi-finals. You think back to the year previous in 2020, it was Kerry and Galway who were in the top 2, neither of which even got out of their province. So, a lot of teams, sometimes you do so well in the National League, don't always do well in the All-Ireland Championship, and sometimes a lot of teams could have a heavy defeat like Tyrone did in the league last year, and then, regroup, readdress and go into the Championship a little bit stronger and better. So, it's a weird one sometimes with the National League. In terms of who I've gotten 4th, I've actually got Tyrone. Look, I think Tyrone are for me the favourites to win the All-Ireland this year. Like, I have them as favourites, but I think they will rotate. I think they will try different things out. I think their team was away on a team holiday there, and that's obviously one of the reasons why they probably haven't looked too good in pre-season. But they have enough quality to win, and I think towards the end of the league we'll start to see them pick up wins and pick up results, and they'll start to come more towards what we know Tyrone can do. So I think Tyrone have a lot of quality, a lot of great players, as we know. Obviously won the All-Ireland last year, but I don't think the league will be too much of a priority, to be perfectly honest. Like, they're All-Ireland champions last year, so the main thing for them really will be keep lads fit, give Cathal McShane more game time, get him up to speed, more game time maybe for Dara Canavan and Rory Canavan and guys like this as well. Maybe Lee Brennan will get more game time. So, I don't think the league is the be-all and the end-all for Tyrone as opposed to other counties. So, yeah, that's why I've got them in 4th. Okay, and then we move into the battle for who will win the National Football League and who will be in the National Football League final. And I did already record this, which is why I might look a little bit different. I didn't just take my Dublin jersey off because I'm now going to be speaking about Mayo. It is because, my camera just switched off during that recording for some reason, and I only realised when I started to edit the video. So in 3rd, I've gone for Mayo. I think with Mayo, it's interesting because they won't actually be playing any of their games in McHale Park, which is under construction, and we've seen Mayo at home are such a tough team to beat. When you play them down there, they create such a tough atmosphere, and we know how well Mayo fans support their county. It won't make too much of a difference in terms of them going to Dr. Hyde Park or Park Sean McDermott or Markovich Park in terms of support, because we know the Mayo fans love to travel and they will certainly be there and support their county in big numbers. But it will make a difference, I still think, to the Mayo team in general, because they will be not playing in their own home patch. But in saying that, I still have them in 3rd, so I still think they'll win a lot more of their games than they don't, and I still think they'll be very close. And maybe some people wouldn't even have Mayo in 3rd, but the main reason I've got them in 3rd is because it's the first time actually in quite a couple of years where James Horn's coming into the year having not lost any players, having not lost players through retirements or players opting out. Well, players haven't really opted out with Mayo in the past couple of years, but in terms of maybe losing players to the AFL like Oisin Mullen, that's not happening. He's actually going to be staying. So Mayo are coming into this year in a good place, actually, in my opinion, and I think they're going to be very strong this year, and I really do feel like Mayo, this might be the year for Mayo. I'm just going to say that now. I feel like they might break the deadlock in the All-Ireland this year, because they'll have another year. A lot of those players really are starting to come more and more into their prime. They're getting closer to their prime now in terms of Ryan O'Donoghue, Tommy Conroy, maybe Owen McLaughlin, Oisin Mullen, another year in there for Enda Hession as well. So Mayo are looking pretty good. Cillian O'Connor back as well. Will he be involved in the league? I don't really think he will be too much, but maybe in the latter part of the year or latter part of the league, we'll start to see him get a bit of game time. So I've got Mayo in 3rd there, and I think in terms of the top 2, and the main reason why I think Dublin will finish in second ahead of Mayo is, well, I suppose first of all, Dublin will play 3 games in Croke Park, which will be huge for them. But we've seen with Dublin down the years, and in particular under Desi Farrell, they do have this knack of grinding out wins in the league. They have a knack of grinding out matches and finding a way to win games, and I think they'll do that in the league. Even when they don't play at their best, they'll find ways to win matches. And interesting enough, they play Mayo at Croke Park on match day 3, I think it is, and I'm looking forward to that one actually, because I might go to that game. But that's going to be an interesting one. That's going to be a very intriguing game, and you could see Dublin being fired up for that after what happened last year, and I think there'll be a real sort of added spice to that game after the proceedings of Mayo beating Dublin last year. So I think Dublin will start the league quite strong. I think they'll start the league quite fast. Armagh up first, Kerry away, and then Mayo at home. They also play Tyrone away on match day 5. So it's going to be interesting with Dublin. They probably will rotate quite a bit under Desi Farrell. We will maybe see Lee Gannon get a couple of games. Maybe Kieran Archer, Luke Swan, Mark Lavin, guys like these might get a bit more game time. So I would expect Desi to rotate a bit, but I still think Dublin, especially with how good their defence is as well, I could see them shutting out teams in some of these games, and that will be a big difference, in my opinion, in winning a lot of those games, especially in these conditions as well. Let's not forget, in February, January kind of football, it probably won't be the best kind of football we'll see from Dublin, but I think they'll do enough to find a way to win a couple of games and find a way into the top 2. So yeah, Dublin in second. And Kerry then in first, and the main reason being is Kerry just seem to have this knack of doing so well in the league in the past couple of years, and I don't think that's going to change for Jack O'Connor. I think they've probably got the best, the biggest sort of depth in their squad in terms of quality, in terms of players on the bench and players that they can bring in. And Kerry probably have the luxury at the minute of being able, a bit like Dublin maybe a few years ago, where Kerry can maybe change their forward line and the quality won't drop as much. You've got players like Tony Brosnan, Killian Spillane, who are on the fringes of potentially coming into that team. Paul O'Shea maybe as well. So you have a lot of very good footballers that aren't even in the starting 6 of Kerry's forwards, and I think that's what makes it very exciting from a Kerry point of view. You've also Stephen O'Brien. It'll be interesting to see if he can get back to the heights that he set in 2019, and we've seen him play a couple of games in pre-season. He looked pretty good, so expecting a big year from him. And I think for Kerry in general, they have this knack of blitzing teams and blowing teams away, and I could see them doing it in the league. I really could. I could see them putting up big score lines against some teams, and winning games quite comfortably at times, which is why I've got them in the first position. And looking at their fixture list just very briefly, up first is away against Kildare, which will be a huge game. Jack O'Connor going back to Kildare and going back to Newbridge there. That's going to be quite a spicy game, no doubt about it. And then they'll play Dublin at home, which will be probably a good time to play Dublin on match day 2, but that's always an intriguing game. They then play Donegal. After that, it is Monaghan away, and then Mayo at home, and then Armagh away, and Tyrone at home. So looking at their home games there, Tyrone, Mayo and Dublin all at home, which is and Donegal at home as well. So they're playing all the heavy hitters at home. So I think the fixture list will suit them quite a bit. So yeah, I think Kerry will be in the final. And then in terms of who will win the league, in Croke Park, Kerry and Dublin, I think Kerry will win this one. We'll give this one to Kerry because they need something anyways. They need to win something at some stage, don't they? So I think they'll win this one. And yes, they won the league 2 years ago. Yeah, they won that, and they won a Connacht champion or a Munster championship. But I'm just joking, just messing around. But anyway, yeah, Kerry I think will win this one. I think they'll win the league. I think they'll, in Croke Park against Dublin, they'll turn up for this one. But it's a hard one to call, to be perfectly honest, because we'll need to see these teams in action, and there really won't be too much maybe between a Kerry and Dublin in a league final. So we'll go with Kerry to win the league. I think they'll just about they'll have a bit more depth in their squad maybe, and a bit more depth in their panel, as opposed to Dublin, which will probably be rotating a bit more. And I think Kerry will want to prove a big point under Jack O'Connor. So yeah, I think Kerry will win the league, and Dublin will regroup in the Leinster Championship and try and put things right in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship. So yeah, look, listen, we'll wrap this up here. Do leave a like, subscribe if you appreciate it, if you appreciate the content. The Division 3 and 4 predictions were out yesterday. I decided to split the videos in the end because I speak way too much and way too long. So yeah, we decided to split the videos there. So if you want to see my Division 3 and 4 predictions for the National Football League, go and check that out. That video will be the video that was uploaded yesterday. And yeah, hurling predictions coming out next week as well, so stay tuned for that. And more previews, reviews and season previews coming out as well. Mayo season preview out tomorrow, so that's a big one, so stay tuned for that. Actually, wait, is it out tomorrow? Yeah, it's out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, see you all soon.